How do you guys like that? Swinging microphone. Boom. Kind of cool, right? Good morning, everyone. It is March 10th, Tuesday, 2026. Probably a weird way to say the year. Good morning. What we're going to be going through today, if you're watching for the first time, we do an overall market check. So we're going to be looking at all things going on in crypto. We'll look at silver, gold, definitely looking at oil, definitely looking at the Japanese bond market, definitely looking at the US stock market. Whole lot going on right now. So we'll dive straight into things. I'm going to say good morning to the crew. Good morning, Stav. Good morning, Echo. Good morning, Scorpio. And good morning, Mill. So I think today we're really going to kind of try to talk about FXRP. I've been seeing a lot of movement going on in this space. And when I say movement, I mean I see a lot of inflows going into FXRP. So I think that's something that we're going to want to really cover off. Before we dive into that, though, let's just start out with our overall market check. We'll also look at my DeFi portfolio, see how those are working out for us. And while none of this is financial advice, definitely recommend getting into DeFi. It's going to be the thing that keeps you making money without having to sell. It's also going to be the thing that keeps crypto from having these major dips in the future. It's going to reduce the volatility, but I do think that's going to be a good thing for us in the long run. So let's just jump right into it here. So going through the overall market, we're looking at Bitcoin actually had a pretty good 24-hour period. Now, you guys have heard me say this on the channel before. I need about 5 days of continued growth before I get my hopes up. From this point forward, we really haven't seen good momentum since September of last year. So let's see how this one plays out. 72,000, yeah, it's pretty nice. It's getting pretty close to the weekly average there. We did see a high of 73 and $700 last week. Now, granted, it's currently moving as we're streaming, so I mean you can almost watch this candle go up in real time. We'll see. I mean, at this stage, I don't really get my hopes up for long-term growth until I've seen a little bit more evidence. So we're going to be definitely keeping an eye on this. But movement's movement. So at least, hey, if this is technically it would probably be day 2. If you really consider that started growing from the trenches here, really got down to 66, just 2 days ago. So pretty substantial move in the upside over the past 36 hours. If this continues, then maybe we get our hopes up. But in general, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. There could always just be another dip right around the corner. The fear and greed index indicator is actually slowly climbing out of this extreme fear range. So this actually could be, a good sign of market sentiment. It seems that we are definitely coming out of the extreme bearishness. At its all-time low on this index, I think it got down to 6 at one point. Now, let me see if I can pull up the 30-day average here. Might be a little bit further back. I mean, we can see here on February 11th, it was down to 8, but I swear I saw it hit 6 at one point. Let's see if we can find that. Here we go. It got down to 5. On February 5th, the fear and greed index was at 5. We're now sitting at 27. So this thing has pulled out of the mud a little bit. This could be used as kind of a temperature check for the overall crypto market. This might indicate to us that we're slowly moving out of the dead zone, and maybe we're going to start seeing some Q2 and Q3 growth coming towards our way. Now, I do think that, Q1 ends in 3 weeks here, so, or not even actually, it ends in 2 weeks. So Q1's a bust. Don't expect much to happen for Q1. We've only got 2 weeks left, but maybe Q2 is when we start to kind of roll out of this bad situation and start moving things back up to the upside. XRP up pretty much substantially from yesterday. I mean, geez, what a candle, right? Like, It's basically up 5% in the past hour. So I actually bought some XRP this morning at, well, I put the order in at 8:30. So 8:30 in the morning. I'm looking at 8 p.m. last night. So let me adjust here. So I put an order in around 8:30, so it would have been at about $1.37. That does seem to check out. We're up to 144 in just, a short 2-hour span. So let's see what goes on here. We might be watching in real time a run up. Now I do see that just in the past minute or two, we've seen this thing hit a little bit of a dip. So maybe we've hit the ceiling as far as this particular candle goes. But we'll keep monitoring it throughout the stream. We'll see what we end up with. But $1.44 XRP, pretty nice. I'm going to start probably seeing this thing move to the upside if this continues. Like I said with Bitcoin, let's get a 5-day moving average and see if that shakes things up a bit. Of course, you guys know my other favorite coins are also doing well this morning. HBAR, not actually quite as up as XRP, but it's up 2.5%. That's a decent amount. And Flare also up to 0.0092. Isn't this interesting? Flare is doing pretty good, but guess who's not doing good? Should be Quant. And I've always said Quant's moving at its own pace. It's a very cool token. In some ways, it almost looks like it's decoupled from the entire crypto market. Everything else is running up, but now Quant is moving down. If you're someone who likes to micromanage, maybe this is an opportunity to, pick up some Quant this week. I think that would be a really good play. Quant is going to be one of those long-term plays that doesn't really fully materialize till maybe like 2035. And then that's when you kind of look in the rear view mirror and say, wow, Quant used to be $60. Now, because Quant has a smaller total supply, I think it's reasonable that Quant could be a four-digit token much sooner than a lot of our other favorite tokens. And that's going to be due to the lower total supply at just about 15 million Quant. So most of these other tokens, Flare, XRP, HBAR, they all have, 100 billion token limit. And I do believe that's the same for HBAR. Let me just double check on that. So HBAR is 50 billion. So XRP is 100 billion. HBAR is 50 billion. Flare is not hard capped, but it's going to be around 100 billion. Now, Flare has some built-in inflation, but also has built-in burning. So you're going to have to think of it as like some's coming in, some's coming out. It should cancel out in the long run. We'll see somewhere around 100 billion, maybe 105 sometimes, maybe 110 at the most. And then we'll probably see it kind of stabilize in that like 100 to 105 range. Having my nice little morning coffee sip. It just occurred to me that my stream chat is not on my screen. So let me figure out where it went. Make sure I'm not missing out on you guys. Okay, this one does look to be correct. So sometimes I forget to close my live stream. So I'll have streams from like yesterday still on my screen. And so I'm making sure that this is in fact the right chat. And it does look like it is. Mill Power says, FXRP, so far I don't see a good use for it. I'm hoping to start using mine. So, I'm not going to be a cheerleader that only reports good news. I'm a little disappointed in the output for FXRP. I was hoping the output would be a little bit better. I guess anything's better than zero. But if you're looking at, and I'll just jump to it now since we're on the topic. If you look at Mystic, getting it was 4.18 yesterday. Now it's at 3.84. Last week, the APY on Mystic was 1.2. I was very disappointed in that. Now it seems to have come back out, but the reason that it's back up is because liquidity has come out of Mystic. So, you know, as much as I want these things to succeed, we've got to also at the same time be realistic, and we have to be able to say that going from 4 million in liquidity down to 1 million in liquidity, that's not a good thing. That's not a good indicator of a healthy system. So I'd like to see this succeed. I want it to succeed, but at the same time, I have to be, you know, honest. I have to be object, right? So everything about Flare is doing great. In fact, you go to the core Flare vault, you can see there's an APY of about 14%. That's actually very, very good. This is something, if I was in current terms, I'd probably rather be in Mystic using wrapped Flare than FXRP, but at the same time, they're not mutually exclusive, so you can have both. But I'm just more satisfied with the Flare returns than with the FXRP returns. And that kind of is consistent with not just Mystic, but some of the other platforms like Kinetic as well. Now we'll have to see what Firelight does for us. I've also heard that the Zaman, however you say it, Zaman wallet actually has hit their total cap of 25 million already. I was not aware that Zaman's app is actually like exclusive to Zaman, so maybe I will get a Zaman wallet after all. It's one of those things, you guys, where how many wallets do you get before you're like, you guys, I've got too many wallets. At this point, you know, I've got a Hashpack wallet. I've got like 3 or 4 different wallets I'm using for different things, and then like to go get a Bifrost, and then a Zaman, and then a Ledger, and I've already got 2 decent wallets. It's kind of like, at what point do you say this is too many wallets? So that's why I haven't gotten the Zaman wallet yet, but maybe I'll come around to it. If they've got a better APY than what we're getting through Firelight or Mystic, that's something I might consider doing. Beyond that, some things in the market that have outperformed for the day. Stellar's up 10%. So, I mean, you look at a candle like that. You don't see candles like this too often these days. Sorry, I got a little bit of the hiccups here. Really up about 9% since midnight, really, is when this thing started moving. And even still, most of the movement came in the past hour. Now, I'm seeing right here, the candle has started to come down. Let's keep an eye on this, but 10% movement in one day is pretty nice. Let's just see. We got to be consistent. We got to see long-term. I need to see that 5-day moving average before I get too excited. But I do think it's interesting. Some coins have hit and some coins have not. Like Bitcoin Cash, not much movement, right? So I'm looking at, I don't look at every single coin, but I do look at like the overall market. Some of the more meme-ish coins are doing good, like Dogecoin's doing, you know, 9.5% today. I saw Shiba was also doing pretty close to that, 9.2. So in fact, Shiba's at about to crack 10% actually. I don't buy these coins. I think that there's no use case for Shiba. There's no use case for Dogecoin, even though some people insist that there is. I look at Shiba and I see a total supply of 600 trillion. It's just like, that's a little bit too much for me, you guys. So I'm not buying this, but I am curious to see, you know, some of these are moving wildly more than others this morning. Hyperliquid right there around the middle. Hyperliquid is probably going to be a pretty big deal going forward as far as a platform for real world asset digitization. But it does seem like Flare and HBAR are going to be using Hyperliquid's tools. Maybe you don't necessarily need the Hyperliquid token to take advantage of that. And so Overall, market seems to be having a pretty good morning. Pretty interesting to see that Stellar is outperforming XRP, at least in the past 24 hours. Now, I know that a lot of people, maybe not necessarily on this channel, but there's a lot of people out there that say Stellar is the real XRP, and that you guys probably are aware. You go on Twitter and it's always a constant fight, but got to throw those Stellar boys a bone. Stellar has moved twice as fast today as XRP. It's usually the other way around, so I do find that to be pretty interesting. Coin that's on my watch list would be TAO. Not really moving much. We'll continue to monitor this one. I'm not buying this one as much as some people want me to, I guess. But if you look at the two-day average, it looks like TAO, or Tau, however you want to pronounce it, kind of looks like it got its run early. It had its giant candles yesterday. It's actually held on to that growth. We can see it's up 12.5% in the past week. So this actually might be a pretty good one. I don't have a whole lot of this, certainly not enough to make a difference, but it is on my watch list. Something I might diversify deeper into once I finish off my other bags. Over now asks, is it worth risking your XRP for only 2 to 5%? No, probably not. Now, here's the thing. I'm experimenting with like a very small portion of XRP. I don't think I'm going to lose it, but I also don't want to contribute more than I'm contributing right now until we get some more solid proof that this stuff is legit. Because it is riskier to have your XRP out there than it is to just keep it completely secure in a cold wallet. But at the other side of the table here, you know, we have to eventually use these tokens, right? So it's not good for the market as a whole if everyone's just buying and holding and never actually doing anything with it. That's not like a healthy economy. So on some level, some of this stuff is scary. You know, it's like, oh, this DeFi stuff. Like, what if I lose my coins? I'm willing to, you know, be the pioneer to kind of like create the original trails that people might like tread on later down the road. If that means that we can get crypto to the place where it actually gets adopted, right? So like adoption also means, you know, the flow of money, and having things sit in cold wallets. I don't think that's the future of crypto, is sitting in cold wallet. And so that's why I'm participating. And yeah, there's some inherent risk here. What if like Firelight goes down and you just don't get your tokens back? What if Mystic goes down and you just don't get your tokens back? I mean, these things could happen. I don't think that they'll happen, but I also can't say that they won't. So it's just something you got to think about, and you have to ask yourself, is, you know, 3.8% worth that risk? Maybe if it was closer to like 5 or 6, I could sort of see it, right? But at the same time, super excited about Flare assets and altogether. I'm looking at, this is kind of the idea for today's stream. We're up to 132 million circulating supply of FXRP. Not even a month ago, the cap was actually stuck at, I won't say stuck, but the cap was at 120. And it feels like just 2, maybe 3 weeks ago that Hugo Fillion tweeted out that 100 million FXRP had been minted. Well, there's been another 30 million since then. In fact, we got this chart right here. Let's see if this chart can be moved at all. It doesn't look like I'm not seeing a way for me to stretch the vault here, but what I'm seeing, if this is right, I'm seeing that 11 million FXRP was minted between yesterday and today. So that's a pretty big deal. Someone out there is minting a lot of FXRP right now, and that tells me that someone out there with a lot of money knows things that we don't. Otherwise, they're not going to mint 10 million FXRP if there's not like a a purpose for it, right? Like that's not something you do because you're speculative. There must be. I don't know who would be doing this. I guarantee you, it's not retail. As much as I love us retail buyers, I don't think that we have just 10 million XRP laying around for us to go out and just all mint at the same time. I don't see that. So I think this is some sort of institutional FXRP minting, which means a lot more is probably on the way. When Hugo Fillion says that he thinks there's going to be like 5 billion FXRP minted this year, he's probably he probably has more of an idea of why that would be than we do. So all we can do is just kind of hope that they're being forthright with that information. And if they are, this could be the thing that gets us to that golden XRP number without having to worry about the reverse carry trade. Which I'm just now realizing we haven't actually looked at those yet. So I'm going to jump over to my other charts here. So the JP10Y is currently at 2.18, which is really about what it's been for the past 2 or 3 days. This is still forward momentum though, however. If we look at like a moving 10-day average, it's on its way back up. We'll have to keep watching this. I think where you really need the JP10Y to get for this thing to become a big problem is probably 2.5 or higher. If this thing got to 3, I'd have to imagine 3% would do it. But I don't know specifically what's going to break the camel's back, but probably not before 2.5, probably not after 3. But I mean, does anyone really know? All I can say is that the more pressure that mounts, the more likely it's going to be to happen. Now, Brent oil, interesting because we had this crazy spike, right? And then it's come back down. But if you just look at, let's just assume this part right here never happened. Let's just say this might have been an overreaction. The trend is still moving upward. And if you think about where this would have moved had it not spiked, it looks like we're still on that same trajectory, right? So, you know, we're at 14,591 on the 6th, which really isn't that long ago, just 4 days ago. It was at the low 1400s. So we're still seeing this continue to rise. Let's see if it continues. I think that it will. And I think that the oil reserves are going to start being spent up. I think that's what's going to very much cause a spike in the price of oil. You got to remember, this event is really just a week old. Maybe not even. Maybe it's... let me see if this chart loads here. I hit the 14-day button, but nothing's loading here. I'll refresh the page. There we go. So really, I mean, oil has been spiking, but it really, for the most part, started on March 1st was like the first real big one. And I guess you could say the 26th of February was when we started to see it kind of inch up. So if you want to look at it this way, we're really about 2 weeks into this thing. That's not enough time for all the oil reserves to get locked up or like spent up. So I would say let's keep an eye on this. The longer this goes, the less reserves there are going to be. And I think that's when we're going to start seeing some big movement again. And I think it's going to probably, once it gets high, I think it's probably going to stay high for a very long time. I'm not, by the way, I'm going to adjust my camera. It seems like I'm a little off center. There we go. I'm not personally optimistic that this thing's going to be over anytime soon. Hold on. Is my chart messed up? Is it just me? Did it just say 1400? Now it says 13,500. I swear I must be tripping here. Just a second ago, I swear it was in the 1400s, and now it's at 1352. So Maybe my chart was just out of date. If it was, then we're gonna have to hit the reverse button there on all those things I just said. My chart might have been out of date here, which is weird. I would have thought that moving it around would have refreshed it, but if it is actually right now at 13,530, I mean, this is showing signs of actually going down. That the entire spike that we had has fully come back down. In fact, has even gone a little bit lower than before the spike. So I don't know. Maybe things aren't so bad. There's so much misinformation on Twitter that at this point I don't even know what to report on, because I can't tell if what I'm reading is even real news or not. So I almost think that looking at, the charts is almost the only way to get the honest news. I mean, who really knows what's going on over there? But the price of oil is coming back down. So I guess it's hard to say. I guess I don't really know, to be honest with you guys. And I think that's the struggle that in this new AI era, very difficult to navigate. You see things on Twitter that you think are real. I mean, they're videos. You couldn't say that 10 years ago. Now I know the videos of the dudes on magic carpets shooting MG60s is obviously fake. Maybe you guys have seen those. It's pretty funny, but you really have no way of knowing if some of the missile footage is real footage or not. So it's been a hard past couple of weeks to really get real concrete data here, but we're seeing the market, we're seeing the price of oil come back down. Maybe the reverse carry trade is no longer as imminent. I mean, it's certainly not going to happen if it's going down, right? The bonds are still going back up, but if oil is going down, that's going to mean probably no reverse carry trade, at least not for the near future. So just kind of keep that in mind. All this stuff really hinges on whether or not oil goes back up. I mean, crude's down to 13,000. This is actually a good thing. Let's get our XRP price appreciation in a better way. I think this is actually for the best. I don't think people are prepared for the reality that comes with like a collapsing economy. Yeah, a lot of the wealth gets moved into crypto, but I don't think people are ready for what it actually feels like to have like widespread poverty spring up out of nowhere. Even if it doesn't hit you directly, it'll hit you indirectly, because the unpredictability of your neighbors is something that you just can't really measure. But hey, you know what? Good news is good news, you guys. Oil is easing, which means it's going to be easing in your personal life as well. So I actually think this is a good thing. Yes, it means a reverse carry trade, maybe not happening tomorrow. Let's get our XRP pump a different way. Maybe FXRP is what does it. And wouldn't we all feel much better about it if that's the way it went, where the price went up because of good things like actual progress in the market, as opposed to this like conspiratorial like government / banking plot that's wrapped up in Freemasonry lore and in Illuminati. Wouldn't it be better if we just got our price appreciation through a good, honest market? That's what I would personally like. I know some people just don't care and they want their money and that's it, which is fine. Everyone's allowed to have different opinions, but I'm allowed to have my opinion too. And my opinion is that I don't want widespread war being the reason I get rich. So some people have a problem with that, which I think is real weird. AL3 asks, what if it does all fall down and it doesn't drive the price up? That's scary too. Imagine thinking if it happens, we all get rich, but instead it doesn't move and we're poorer. Yeah, I mean, that is also a possible reality. that all of this happens and XRP doesn't go up anyways. I mean, none of us really have this kind of control over what happens, right? So it is nerve-wracking. I'd rather us just get to the promised land by having good, strong technology that is so good that the world has no choice but to use it. Wouldn't that be the best way to go? You come to the market with a product that is so good that not using it becomes a detriment. That's what I see crypto as. I don't see crypto as this thing of like some noir, like conspiratorial politics story of how a group of elite converted all this fiat into a new currency to become uber wealthy. I even if that's what it actually is, I prefer it to be the technology, not all this conspiracy shit. So that's just my opinion, and people are allowed to feel however they want about it, but that's just where my mind's at. Looking at silver and gold, silver's on its way back up. It's up about 7% on the moving 5-day average, up 3% in one day. So let's hang out here and see what happens with this. I think that all the screwiness going on with the COMEX makes silver unpredictable. I would think that silver should be way higher than 90. But it's not, so let's just hang on here and see. I mean, it had an all-time high of 120, and now it's back down to 90, so this will be one to keep watching. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if at some point in the future the dam breaks and silver does shoot way up, maybe up to like 150, 200 in the next like year or two. I think that we're going to see a very big problem out of the paper silver versus how much can actually be fulfilled. And I think that's going to also extrapolate out to gold, which as we know, gold seems to be moving mostly in tandem with silver. You know, you look at these charts and they're almost identical. I mean, look at these two blips right here. In fact, on the far right side of the screen, I mean, geez, they almost look like the exact same movement. So interesting stuff. We'll keep watching how that moves as the day goes on. S&P 500 seems to have climbed out of its ravine that it found itself in yesterday. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's back to where it was before the dip. So we're seeing some stability there. And I'm going to jump over to my DeFi platform and we'll start doing some data recording. Just going to have to connect my wallet real quick. And so I'm going to connect up here. Let's see where I'm at. It usually takes a second or two to load, so I'm going to log into my other ones while we wait. Oh, in fact, it looks like these ones are already logged in. So it looks like I got an epoch overnight because I'm up to 50,300 for my collateral pool, which is about 30 higher than what it was yesterday. So that would make sense. If you're not aware, the collateral pools do qualify for epochs. Now I'm with the AU agent, so I'm getting the AU stake, or not stake, the epoch, which might be slightly smaller than what we're getting with Anchor. So I'll just kind of keep that in mind. They're not going to be identical because they're two different FTSOs. I'm up to 0.49 on my FXRP collateral rewards. Almost got half an XRP out of this. Not entirely blown away by this one either. But if I were to stay in this thing for a whole year, I'd get a couple XRP out of it. I think there's easier ways to get more XRP. I mean, you could quite literally just go buy it. But hey, a reward is a reward. Now, for now, I'm pretty happy with my staking rewards. I think staking so far has been the most lucrative. By the way, on Mystic, I'm up to 500 Flare, and I've only been in it for really a little bit over a month. So a little over a month, I've gotten 500 flare through my FXRP. It maybe I'm being a little hard on it. I would like to, I mean, I'm cool with this number. If the APY could go back up to maybe 4.5%, 5% and just stay there, I'd be cool with that. That's something that I can, I can call that a good day. 3.5 is fine, or 3.8 is, it's not like crazy, but it's okay as long as it doesn't go back down to the ones like it did. I'll consider staying in it long term. I'm going to connect to the regular Flare network now, and we're going to see. I have to imagine we've probably got an epoch to claim. So makes sense that there's no staking reward. I kind of figured there wouldn't be one. But we do have an epoch, and it is 53. Pretty nice. We're getting some pretty consistent rewards out of this, by the way. I'm going to take my screenshot here. Getting some very nice consistent rewards. About 50,000 wrapped flare is giving me 53, which, let me just save this screenshot. That's a little bit over 10%, which I think is actually pretty nuts. Now, one of you guys, I forget exactly who, but one of you guys put me on that if you're staking and wrapping with the same FTSO, then I'm probably getting my stake epochs included with my regular wrap flare. I would need to talk to somebody from Flare to see if that's really what's going on here. But I guess it would make sense because, 53, and we'll pull the calculator out. I'm just going to claim this thing real quick. Look how fast that is. Very easy. Very easy with the Bifrost wallet. So I'm going to pull out the calculator. We'll just kind of math this out. We know that there are 104 epochs. Oh, wait, oops. That was 354, not 365. 365. There we go. Divided by 3.5 days. So we know there are 104 epochs a year, right? So if I'm getting 50, how much should we log there? 53? I'm gonna multiply this thing by 53. I'd be getting 5,527 wrapped flare a year, which divide that bad boy by 50,000. That's 11%. So I think there's definitely something going on there where I do think the staking reward is getting added into my wrap pool, because there's otherwise no explanation for why I'd be getting 11% on my wrapping. But by all means, guys, I'm not I'm not mad about these numbers. I'm very, very happy with them. And by the way, when you claim a reward, it does add to the pool. So it has an extra compounding element to it that, like, I don't just have 50,000 wrap flare. I'm up down to 50,650. So that's factoring into the overall wrap. So that is pretty good. Let me jump back over and see what was that official number. 53.51. And so we have. So now I'm up to 50,710 wrapped flare. Pretty good. Looks like my numbers are maybe slightly off. I'm just going to type them in manually. That way, 50,710 dot. Oh shit! I hit the wrong button there. 0.2. May as well have the exact one. I used a formula, but it had some rounding errors, so I just kind of cleaned that up a bit. So that looks correct. Now my kinetic will still be 50,000. That shouldn't change. let's head over to Kinetic and see. I don't know if I'm going to have a reward yet. It might be a while for Kinetic to get me. And Mill, I addressed that. With Kinetic, let's see, where's the rewards button? Here we go. So I haven't hit anything yet. So it looks like my next cycle rewards would be 63 RFLR with what I've got in Kinetic. And that's going to be a combined pool here because I supplied 50,000 FLR. Oh, that's interesting. I put in exactly 50,000. I've already got 9 in here. So maybe it's giving me more. Huh. I need to think about this for a second because I know when I put these in, I know I like obviously I didn't type in 0055 for the FXRP. I know I put in 500. I've got a little bit extra here. I know for a fact I only put 50,000 in. So maybe Kinetic has their own built-in. I mean, this is really interesting, guys, because I'm wondering if I'm getting an additional reward. So not only can I claim stuff, but I might also be generating things here. I wonder if that's because there's a supply APY and a distribution. Okay, I think I'm figuring this out quite literally as I talk about it. I think this 50,009 figure is because of my supplying APY, which is 1.9%. And then the rewards is going to give me that RFLR. And I think the same thing's going on here for FXRP. Now the supply is pretty dog water, so that would be why it's such a small amount. You know, 0.06% is negligible. But for the flare one, you know, you're getting a 1.9% on top of the distribution FLR. That's like a total of like 8.9%. It's really good, actually. Okay, that's actually pretty cool, guys. I did not realize that's how this thing was working. So we're gonna have so much data by August. This is gonna be real cool. So I'm just gonna keep this one 0 for now because it doesn't have anything in it. But that does mean for my Kinetic FXRP. I don't know how do I want to represent this because the decimal points are too far to the right. I want to keep this at 2 decimal points and I can't round this up quite yet. Actually, maybe I could round it up. Maybe I can round it up to 0.1. I don't know. 0.55. That's a pretty aggressive rounding. I might just keep it where it is, and as this thing gets closer to 0.1, then I'll just put the 0.1 in there. Otherwise, guys, this is cool stuff. We're definitely moving in a forward direction here with all the different stuff that we're working on, which I think is pretty nice. So I'm gonna put my prices in here right now. And let's see. Now look at that. Hey, since we started doing this, I'm up 1,520 flare. So, and keep in mind, guys, these are kind of small numbers. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like 50,000 wrap flare is only like 480 bucks or something like that. So I've got probably around $2,000 worth of flare in this, and then another $2,000 in FXRP. So right now I'm really looking at about $4,000 worth of assets here. Nothing too crazy. If you guys can imagine, if your wallet had more in it, you could be generating some very high numbers, even with what we've got right now. Before the price appreciation, you could at least be generating a lot of tokens. Getting 9% on your tokens now, and maybe those APYs go down as the price increases. But if you can get your multiplication going on now, you know, who knows? If Flare goes to 2 million, or not 2 million, if Flare goes to $1 and you've got 2 million Flare, I mean, that's your DeFi right there. You wouldn't necessarily need the APY to be staying around 8 to 10%. Maybe you'd be okay at that point of just like 4 to 5% would probably be enough to get you by. And that's just Flare. I know you guys have other stuff out there too. Some of you probably still have stocks as well that we don't even really talk about stocks on this channel. So that'd be cool. I mean, if you had 2 million bucks in Flare, I'd imagine most of your worries of the world would melt away. And then anything beyond that is just, it's just more money. I really do think that Flare is the future here, guys. I mean, they're doing something here that basically no one else. I guess Hashpack's doing it a little bit, but like Hashpack is just one thing. Flare's got like 10 different things now that you can get involved in. Now, maybe not 10, but like at least 5 or 6 very solid things that you can get involved in. The Flare Network, Scepter, Spectra, Kinetic, Mystic. Then you got your Zaman wallet. I think with Uphold, you're going to start getting that. It's pretty soon. That's a lot just out of one network. Now I'm looking at my HBAR rewards. I haven't claimed them in a while. I've got 4 HBAR to claim. So I'm going to do that now. I want to see if I can show this to you guys. Here, I'll change my screen so you can see it. Yeah, there it is. So, can you guys see this very well? I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see this. The camera might not focus. Oh, here we go. So I'm about to hit my collect rewards button here. It should tell me how much I collected here in a second. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Wait, what? No, I definitely collected more than 0 HBAR. Hold on. What? Am I crazy? That just happened? Hold on. That doesn't, yeah, there we go. I knew I wasn't crazy. 36 seconds ago, claimed 4 HBAR, so it's there. I think I probably hit the button twice. So Hashback's been pretty decent. Yeah, Dean, I know it said 0, but it's there. I claimed 4. So, you know, Hashpack, cool. 2%, 2.5% isn't going to be too crazy, but I have a feeling HBAR is going to probably get out of control crazy in the next couple of years. So if HBAR gets up to like $100, if HBAR gets to like $100, then I mean, shoot, guys, that's like a friggin' 1000x from where it is right now, by the way. If this gets to $100, getting 2% on whatever that package is, it's like, dude, that might be plenty. And then with Iman saying is definitely true, and Mill brought it up earlier. Every time you claim, it goes back into your pool, so it compounds from that too. So I'm getting rewarded twice on Kinetic through the supplying and then the distribution. And I'm also got my FXRP in there. I mean, we just kind of let these assets run. You don't really have to micromanage them too much. I mean, you'll have to come in here once in a while and claim them all. It's almost like trick-or-treating for crypto. I got to go to each of my different DApps or DApps, however you want to call them. I got to go trick-or-treat, hit my claim buttons. As long as you don't mind doing that, aside from that particular activity, this is pretty passive. I mean, this is a lot better than having to show up to your rental property with a pit bull because your tenants won't pay. So I would much rather just sign into these dApps to hit my claim button than to have to go door to door collecting rent from tenants that are otherwise not paying. You guys know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's passive income. That's the whole reason we're doing this, is for the passive income. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm also here for the price appreciation, but if the price appreciates and you don't have it somehow generating money for you, then you are basically reliant on the market continuing to move upwards. Otherwise, you'd eventually run out of assets to sell. So when you have this renewable resource, which is yield, it's like drinking from the well of youth that never runs dry. That's my kind of way of looking at it. I'm gonna start closing things up soon, but we're just gonna pop over to the rich list, just kind of take a quick gander at it. Yesterday, to be in the top 1%, you needed 46,078. Let's just see what it's at today. I just went down by 1 XRP, nothing too crazy. It's 46,077 now. I'm still saying though, give this a year or two, maybe 3 or 4 years, this number's gonna get down to like 25,000. So it's only going to get easier and easier for those of us that have been in the game a while to crack into this 1% range, or higher if you care about that kind of stuff. But for people just starting out, you know, once the price appreciates, hits like $5, $10, like your ability to stack XRP is going to pretty much come to an end. I mean, you can still buy it, but you're not going to be getting to 25,000 XRP when it's valued at $10. So I think even though the markets have been kind of crummy lately, I think this is probably the best buying opportunity we're ever going to get. And we'll just have to kind of see how things shake out. Iman asked a good question. I'm wondering if these dApps will be around for years or decades. I would imagine. I mean, it's a good question to ask. I would imagine if a dApp was going to go away, we would have an opportunity to pull out before the plug gets pulled. I think that there's, in some of these cases, you go over to Kinetic. I think Kinetic says what their total vaults are. I'm looking for the total vaults. Okay, total supply. So there's 8 million flare in Kinetic. There's 47 FXRP in Kinetic. I feel like for them to just close this thing down would affect too many people. There's too much money in this. I mean, 47 million FXRP is $67 million. That's enough money to be like a mid-sized business. I think that if this were to go away, I think we would have the opportunity to withdraw before it goes away. And I suppose it helps to also be in different platforms. So like, let's say Kinetic were to go away one day. If you're also in Mystic, that gives you kind of an opportunity to pivot. But you do bring up a good question there, Iman. If this thing does go away, that could be kind of a problem, right? Now, I don't know if I'll ever put 100% of my XRP into DeFi, but I definitely want to be putting some. I'm more okay with, I'll tell you what, I'm cool with wrapping my Flare on the Flare network. As cool as all these other apps are, if you're asking me which one of these do I trust is never going to go away, I swear I claim this. Okay, I did, yeah. if you're asking me what I don't think is going away, I don't think the flared network is going away anytime soon. In fact, I would be more confident in this sticking around than any of these other dApps combined. So just kind of take that for what it's worth. I'm cool with experimenting with these kind of like third-party programs here. But if it ever came down to it, I trust the Flare network the most. That's just kind of my perspective on it. So we're at noon. Gonna start closing this thing down here in a second. Just want to see if there's any last minute news hitting the Twitter space. Oh, there we go. We got our magic carpets out. I actually do think these are pretty funny. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing at these things, but I feel like this is a good way to kind of add some humor to an otherwise very stressful situation. And I don't know, it's pretty entertaining stuff. But there you go. There's your magic carpet, machine gunners. Any good news for us? Here we go. Speak of the devil, we were just talking about this. So 33 on Twitter says slow and steady, but we're heading in the right direction. We're actually higher than 126. Pretty nuts. I don't know how old his tweet is, but we're at 132 million. So whenever he took this screenshot, it's even higher than that. Let's see. How do I emote? I've never emoted on the desktop before. I gotta put the exploding nuke head. Where's that one at? Yeah, there we go. Nuclear bomb head. There we go. I told you guys I'd start engaging more with people on X, so there we have it. I swear I would just watch that one. So looks like there's more drama in the street. Let's just see what this is saying. After Trump forced oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz and claimed to have wiped out the entire naval fleet, the response came from an unexpected quarter, an Iranian strike on an American tanker. I mean, this is exactly what I said would happen. Now, whether or not this is a real footage or not, that's the thing. You can never know at this point in time if what you're seeing is an AI video or not. Is this video real? I have absolutely no idea, and no one else does either. So that's why we just have to keep checking the prices, because it's too hard to know if the footage we're seeing is real or not. But I did predict that would happen, that tankers would just get shot with missiles. It seems kind of like a no-brainer to me. You know, escorting a tanker ain't gonna do much against, you know, a cruise missile or a hypersonic missile, but that this is the second time we're seeing that clip, so maybe it is real. Of course, we're not going to know who the real owner of the ship is probably for a while, and then some people are calling it AI. So who knows? That's the struggle right now, is knowing what's real and what's not. But we're just going to have to check the charts. The charts usually have a good way of indicating whether something's real or not. So gonna start wrapping things up here, guys. Excited about the FXRP. I know that the FXRP has been kind of not performing as far as we wanted it to in terms of yield. Let's just see how this plays out. I mean, the thing is just brand new. And for what it's worth, just a crazy amount has been minted in the past 24 hours. 12 million of FXRP minted. So something big is going on here. We're going to have to hang on and see what exactly is going on here. Could be something really awesome. So I'm going to start wrapping things up. I'll see you guys tomorrow. By the way, I'll be traveling Thursday, so if I do stream, it's going to be very like informal. I'll just stream when I get to the airport if I can find a spot. I might just do it on my laptop, that way I'm not like messing around with finding a place for the camera and all that stuff, because that can take up a lot of real estate. You basically need a desk. But I could probably just stream from the laptop on my literal knees, like laptop on the knees, sitting for the plane. So we'll see about that. And then Robert, I haven't forgot about you. I'm going to do your video, I swear. It's just I've been really entranced with all the Iran news lately. I was basically am like scouring the internet 24/7 trying to figure out what's going on with this war. So I'll do my best to try to knock out your video request pretty soon. So with that, guys, I'll let you crack on. I'm gonna go make some lunch and then take the dog out for a nice walk. We got one more day of good weather here in the north, so I gotta spend some time outside. It's gonna be back into the low 30s, low 20s starting next week. So that's life. That's how it goes here in the north. I'll see you guys tomorrow.